walkers of the weird way. We're about to go down a rabbit hole today, let me tell you. I'm providing these videos as sort of an intro to fairies so you can understand how the path winds, how it twists and turns, and just sort of the feel of fairy. We will be hitting the reset on the launch of a 13 moon initiation into the heart of fairy. I got the download that I needed to have this be sort of an introductory period, the first 3 moons, but we're going to reset on that. So we're actually on a 16 moon journey. I don't make the rules. I just do what I'm told when it comes to fairy. You don't want to cross fairy, okay? And I'm working with Goddess Danu, so I'm going right back to the roots of fairy, and it's a wild ride. It takes you to some very interesting places. And the last download I got was all about working within that liminal space, and I'm telling you, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And one thing that's really interesting about working with fairy is that as you get more in touch with fairy, you also become more in tune with the song of ecstasis, which is the song of fairy, the song of creation that runs through all things. So you begin to get downloads from plants, you get downloads from stones, you get downloads from winds, you get really in touch with all of creation all around you. Get in touch with all the elementals. Everything starts speaking to you. And it's a beautiful experience of just really understanding the thread of connection that runs through all things, as well as our ability to communicate with all things. And I definitely got a download from the spirit of Opal, and it's very fitting. Opal is the October birthstone. It's a birthstone for October born Libras and also October born Scorpios. Okay. So isn't that interesting? We got air, we got water. Um, you know, Air is above, water is below. So, we have this kind of same liminal space coming in here. It's a very liminal stone. Opal does help you work within those liminal spaces. It helps you bridge the gap between the head and the heart and come into that place of aligning with the ability to communicate the intangible through the information that comes through the intuition. It helps activate the psychic awareness, okay, through the third eye chakra. There's so much opening that occurs with Opal if you know how to work with it. And so this is what this download is about. I know it's kind of out there, it's a little unusual, but this is what wants to come in. And so I'm going to flow with it, okay? And I know that I got some people out here that are going to resonate with this. So I'm not going to question the downloads. I'm going to bring in whatever wants to come in. I do want to talk a little bit about the history of Opal. Opal has been a stone that has been very valued for many, 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 many moons, okay? Many, many moons. Ancient Roman and Greek civilization prized it as being a stone of prophecy, a stone that could awaken the oracle within an individual. It was also considered to have great value because it contains all the different colors of all the different precious gems. And so it was considered to have this transformational power of the rainbow, okay? And also the chakra system. We're working with the chakra system too when we're looking at that rainbow piece. And you can work with the opal to cleanse your chakra system as well. There's as many different colors and types of opals as there are energy centers in the body. So it's a really beautiful stone to work with, but it will take you to some real dream time spaces. And this makes sense because the main place where we find opals and the most prized opals these days is on the continent of Australia. And I've really been getting a big like Aborigine download lately. It's been coming in so strong. And the Aborigine work a lot with Dreamtime. And Dreamtime is that liminal space. And the Aborigine, they're so connected to, you know, the earth and to that spirit of unity that, you know, there's a beautiful story. It's called Mutant Message Down Under. I can't remember who wrote the book, but you can look it up. It's a true story of a woman who was invited to go on a sacred journey walking across the outback of Australia with an Aborigine tribe. And it was an honor for her to be invited because normally that is not an experience that is shared with outsiders, but they felt that she could be of two hearts and that she could carry forward a special message to the mutants. And the mutants were viewed as, you know, us modern day people who have lost connection with the land, who have lost connection with the truth of who we are and what we're here to do, the role we're here to play. And so they felt that she could take this experience and she could bring it back and she could share it with all of us, and that we could benefit from the wisdom that came forward from her time with them. It was really powerful, very powerful book. I really recommend you give it a read. If it's something that's kind of dinging something in you right now as I'm speaking of it. But one of the things that was just so brilliant and beautiful that came through with the time that she spent with this Aborigine tribe was that they didn't need to use words to communicate with each other. They were so like synced in with each other that they could speak telepathically. It's really, really, really cool. And so, you know, when we're looking at Opal, it holds that rainbow essence. And what is rainbow? But it's all the colors united. And so there's this big piece that's coming forward and it's all intertwined. And I got like the rainbow prophecy to all of this. It's all tying in, okay? And it will develop more over time. But this is kind of the way fairy works, is it gives you like these little breadcrumbs, you know, and it's like, do you want to come deeper? Do you want to journey deeper? Do you want to know the secret? Come on. Do you want to know? You know, it's an invitation to see how deep do you want to go? How deep do you want to dive? Because stepping onto the path of fairy can be a lot like going down a rabbit hole. So we're bringing it in. Okay, we're bringing it in. And for those of you that are really ready, you're like, yeah, take me to Wonderland. I want to go. We'll be doing that official dive into a 13 moon initiation. And it'll all be done in these reading forms. And of course, the whole, you know, collective here at Broad Coven is welcome to sit in on those. But I do really want to put this forward. I want to make it really clear that if you're just going to watch, you know, don't just pick and choose as I'm bringing stuff in for the group that is actually committing to initiation to work with on your own, because there's a whole process in building up to working with the different rituals that I'll be bringing in, and you can make a mess for yourself. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. There's a reason why I'll be presenting things in a particular order as I am once we hit Samhain, which is Halloween. To the muggles out there, that's Halloween. Okay, it's also known as Witches' New Year, so feels fitting to start then. And this was just a little intro these first 3 months for people to kind of get a feel and to lean in. Is this right for me? And I hope you've been working with the things I brought forward. If you're pretty sure you're ready to step on this path, and hopefully you've been looking for your book of shadows, you've been asking for it to come for you. And yes, come for you, not for you to find it, for it to come for you. And you'll understand that more as time goes on. We'll talk about what you can put in a book of shadows, but we're going to hold off on that. Right now, we're going to let the spirit of Opal speak. So this is a stone that was always really prized throughout history, and it was seen as a stone of luck. It was seen as a stone of blessing, of prosperity and prophecy. Many people valued it, and naturally so. It's a very beautiful stone, right? It's so different from any of the other stones we have out there. But it kind of got a bad rap for a while. And there was even this rumor that spread, it's kind of like a superstition, that unless you're born in the month of October, you should not wear an opal because it will bring bad luck upon you. And this largely had to do with a novel by Sir Walter Scott, where the main character, Hermione, um, had an opal and she fell deathly ill after it. She died. She died. And so this like spread rampant, this superstition that was all based on the buzz of this novel that came forward. And so this is kind of interesting because there's this big piece that's been coming through for writers lately. If there's something that you feel like you need to write and it's really been tugging on you, if you've been getting like a download, from spirit, something that you need to write, whether it's a poem, whether it's a song, whether it's a book, whether it's a screenplay, Fairy's really asking you to like bring this forward now, like start writing. And even if it was 11:11 on the clock when I said that, okay? So it's like, this is big alignment with your purpose energy. It's so important. There's so much that's going to come through the written word at this time that can have such an impact on the collective. It's so essential. So if you're feeling drawn in this way, like flow with that inspiration. And Opal can assist you with this because Opal is wonderful for heightening the creativity. All right. And it also helps merge you with your intuition and allows you to have easier connection with all of the spirit realm. All right. So it's great for channelers. It's great for people who do any kind of psychic work, readers. If you're on that path, or maybe you're exploring metaphysics where you're looking into picking up tarot cards, or you're starting to open up as a channel, maybe you're having some, ascension symptoms, you're starting to notice that you're getting downloads more frequently, your dreams are getting really active. Working with the opal can be a very beneficial ally. Now, I do want to say, you're all like, but I'm not born in October. What about that piece? It was just a bunch of hype, man, that came through, somebody's novel, Sir Walter Scott. He put that out there and it shifted the way everybody thought of this stuff. Whole civilizations had elevated this stone to be such a wise teacher, and then all of a sudden overnight it was considered bad luck. And that's because Opal is the guardian of the mysteries. It provides the key that opens many doors in your consciousness, those doors of perception. And so there's very much value there. It's been called Pandora at some points. And so we can't help but think of Pandora's box, how it was 13:13 on the clock when I said that, okay? So when you work with Opal, it will help you access your powers because you're going to notice the things that you haven't been able to see before, right? Part of awakening the intuition also involves seeing what is blocking the intuition. And a great deal of that has to do with fear and old tapes you're still running in your consciousness, things that need purification. The path of the high priestess, of the magician, is endless purification. It's a constant refining process of looking at the blocks within yourself so you can keep that channel clear and you can get the download and be a conduit for manifestation. Okay, so you can't be a clear conduit though if you're not clearing out the lower vibrational energies, if you're not looking at your internal blocks, whether those are psychological, whether those are things that you inherited from your generational bloodline and the belief structures within your family, whether it's your own personal spiritual dogma that's getting in the way. So Opal will help highlight these things. It will sort of shine the light on these areas so you can transform the energies, working through your energy system, working through the chakra system. So different opals, okay, for different chakras, like root chakra, black opal, really good, helps with grounding and clearing, that energy center so you can feel very rooted as you're opening up as a channel. Working with any of the like fire opals would be great for the sacral chakra or Svadhisthana, just to help you tap into that creative energy and feel that empowerment fueling your visions so you can bring them into action. up to Manipura, the solar plexus chakra, where you can work with the yellow opals. And it'll just give you that feeling of courage, empowerment, self-esteem. Bringing it on up to the pink and the green opals for working with the heart center, anahata, and keeping that chakra nice and open and clear so you can receive what needs to come in for you to open you to greater levels of consciousness, which the opening to greater levels of consciousness, it all begins in the heart. Okay, the heart is the landing point that helps you access these higher levels of awareness. All right, so we need to keep the heart clear. And definitely in moving through this lunar cycle, we're being asked to do that right now. We're being asked to keep the heart clear, travel light, you know, taste the rainbow. I just got that, you know, and that's what Opal will help you do. It'll help you taste the rainbow, right? It's one thing you can do to start clearing these channels so you can come up into these higher frequencies is to even make an opal elixir, okay, that you can take a few drops, you know, a few times a day and ingest the essence of opal. How do you do that? Very simply, you get an opal, you want to put it in some type of smaller container, okay, like a really small jar with a lid that you can tie on nice and tight. You don't want the opal to have direct contact with the water. Then you get a larger jar or a larger vessel, okay, something that you can put some kind of lid or cover on. You put the smaller jar inside of it, all right, and then you fill it with purified water and you cover it and you set it out to charge all through the day and all through the night. We want to do all through the day and all through the night so it can really amplify those energies of balance that Opal brings in. That's what Opal is. It's a balance of shadow and light. It helps you find the center of that liminal space. Okay, so here it comes. Here comes the liminal energy. We also have to look at the stone of Opal itself. Opal is a combination of silicon dioxide that is formed in these little spheres that form in structures in water. Okay, so there's like all this water within opal. So we have that earth and water and that liminal space in between that creates what? Temperance. And we know that because temperance has 1 foot on the earth and 1 foot in the water. So it's like this same piece coming in. This stone is a stone that will help you gain access to the liminal space. You are going to be empowered in working within the liminal space when you work with this stone. And as far as it being anything bad luck, it's not bad luck. This was just an idea, a seed that was put in the consciousness through the power of the word. Okay, so this power of the word piece is really coming through. Sir Walter Scott put something in his novel, and all of a sudden everybody changed their mind about opal. But Queen Victoria changed it back when she gave both of her daughters gifts of opals on their wedding day. And then after that, it gained popularity again. So if you are not an October born Libra or an October born Scorpio, you can certainly work with opal. Okay, so let's talk about unraveling some of that dogma, right? Like some of that stuff that gets in the way from really opening up our hearts, right? This bridging point that helps us reach these higher channels, right? If you are an October born Libra or an October born Scorpio, it's definitely a power stone for you. And I highly recommend you get yourself some. I'm wearing one right now. This is actually a clear opal. Okay, I love opal. I have a few opal pieces, but this is a clear opal. It's very reminiscent of moonstone, but it's not a moonstone. Okay. So it's a power piece for you. So I highly recommend if you are an October born Libra or Scorpio that you grab yourself some opal, maybe get yourself a piece, you know, and really start to connect with this energy, wear it close to your skin and notice how it shifts, how it changes for you. Okay. But in making this elixir, you know, you leave it sitting out all through the day and all through the night. Okay. Then you bring it back inside. You take out that little jar from inside the bigger jar And you want to do a ratio of about 50% alcohol, like 90 proof to 180 proof alcohol, to 50% of that purified water. Okay, so it's half and half. And then you're going to take that, put a lid on it, and then you're going to stick it in a dark, cool place. And you're going to let it sit there, okay, for 30 days. And then you check it and make sure that it looks all good. As long as there's no signs that there's any kind of spores growing or anything like that, it's safe, it's good to use, and you can use it many different ways. You can wash altar items with it. You can, anoint your third eye, your throat chakra with it. You can take a few drops internally a few times a day. And that will just like open up the channel within. It's wonderful. You can add some to your bath. Okay, so these are different ways that you can work with it. It's also really interesting too, because there's this other piece that comes through, that is from Arabic legend that says that it is a stone that was delivered through lightning, that this lightning and storm that flew through brought forth the opal that fell like stars from the heaven. And it really makes me think of the star card too. I'm picking up that big star energy. And again, we got, the water bearer pouring water upon the earth in that card. There's still this like water, earth, liminal space energy there. And it's beautiful because the star card is all about the light that is found within the dark. It's that guiding light that gives us hope. And that's what the opal is all about. It's about gaining access to your inner light, your intuition that can provide guiding light for how to step forward into your future. And it's working within that liminal space. Intuition is a liminal space, right? It's not proven fact. You don't know for certain. You can't actually feel it, touch it yet, but there's something you just know inside. Is that intangible in between space between the initial inception of thought and the actual manifestation in physical reality. So we're really being asked to dive into this space and working with opal as that stone to help guide us. And as far as the chakra channels, again, working with that blue Australian opal for the throat chakra to help provide clear communication and help to align you with your purpose, and then working with purple opals, amethyst shades of opal for opening ajna, the third eye. And then you could work with clear opal or common opal, white, but we typically think of as opal, the white opal with all the iridescence, all that beautiful opalescence in it, for the crown chakras, the hasara. Okay, so this is a stone that will help us work within that liminal space, help us clear our energy. It's also an amplifier. So it's really wonderful for charging up, okay? Charging up with your intentions, because what it does is it amplifies your thoughts, your feelings. It makes your thoughts things. It's wonderful for amplifying your prayers, your intentions. And it's so easy to charge it up. Just like warm up your hands, okay? You can do this too when you're working with tarot, okay? If you're starting to work with learning how to read, warm up your hands, really build the heat, okay? When you're working with cards, any kind of like divination, and you do this, they call it warming the deck. It really infuses your energy in it. And then once you do that, you can simply hold your opal in your hands and you can charge it up. You can charge it up with your intention, and it acts like a receptor. So it like broadcasts this frequency out into the atmosphere, and then it simultaneously draws forward what is resonating with that frequency that's being emitted. It's also excellent as a warding stone for like that deflective return to sender energy. Okay, so if that's your intention, guard my space from these lower vibrational energies, and you hold that, it can really help just provide shielding for you. So a lot of fun ways to work with this stone. You have a lot of fun ways to work with this stone. And in terms of the thoughts and the feelings and the amplification of that, think about what that means, because it also amplifies where you're at, your thoughts, your feelings. So that means there's a reason why they called it Pandora. Okay. They called it Pandora because it actually is like opening Pandora's box. Yes, it opens up your psychic perception. Yes, it opens up these doorways of higher consciousness. Yes, it gives you the keys to the kingdom, but it also shows you all of your shadow stuff, okay? All the stuff that you need to transform. And it issues the challenge for you to clear your chakra channels, okay? So you can be a clear conduit for the energy. This is what it teaches. And it aligns you with the energies of temperance and the star. Okay, it aligns you with the energies of temperance and the stars. So it will bring hope your way. It will bring you balance. It will bring you the favor of fortune. But it's very important that you use this stone mindfully, that you are very clear in your thoughts, because whatever you put into it, it will magnify it, it will amplify it, and it will draw to you what you're putting into it. So do be aware. Now, another name they gave for opal in the past was Empress, which is just so beautiful, especially with it being aligned with an October Libra energy, because Libra is known as one of the Empress archetypes in the tarot, as is Taurus. And the reason for this is that it is associated with the planet Venus. And in fact, a goddess that has been associated with the opal is Venus or Aphrodite. So there's definitely this energy of love, but we also got a little bit of Mars action in there because, you know, Venus, Aphrodite, is known as both a goddess of love and war. Okay, so there, it's the balance, it's the liminal space between these two polarities, and this is what the opal helps you do. It helps you work within this liminal space so you can be in that position of the high priestess, of the magician, so you can have clear manifestation, so your intuition can really help inform how you move forward. All right. And we're going to just pull some cards on this. I want to just see what comes forward with the cards. I'm going to work with the arcane bullshit deck because I want to go out there today. All right. I don't want to do anything by the book. I just want to have fun with this. Empress energy, bottom of the deck. We got king shit. Okay. Look at that Empress crown here. And isn't it so funny? I brought up the whole Taurus piece. Look at the bull horns there, right? This is about the all-seeing eye. There's that return to sender energy. Look at the stars. Look at the stars in the background, okay? This is really about getting rid of the shit, clearing the channel, all right? Clearing the channel will awaken the psyche within, and it's also about having good, energetic boundaries. This is what's going to open the road. This is what's going to bring the blessings onto your path. This is what's going to clear the way. I also recommend that, you know, when you're working with this kind of stuff, you also work with your actual physical diet. You know, pay attention to what you're eating. Is your elimination good? I mean, for real, is your elimination good? Or have you been eating too many half-priced hot wings? Okay, look at your diet. You know, this is an important part of being a clear conduit too. It's all interconnected with each other, mind, body, spirit. So, you know, if you are on that path of the high priestess, if you are on the path of the magician, if you are on the path of alchemy, you know, part of that is the responsibility to make all things sound, right? That's in mind, body, and spirit. So look at how you're eating, you know, make sure that you're eating, you know, good grounding foods. And this is an important piece too, because especially if you're doing channeling work and you're going way out there, you have to understand that it's really easy to disassociate from your body. You can really go out and wander out into the alfalfa and lose touch with reality. And it's important to be able to work that liminal space where you can ride the hedge. You can have a foot in both worlds simultaneously and not become lost, you know, head in the clouds. You know, this is the fool's journey. The fool is the initiatory gateway, all right? Remember, he's got his head in the clouds. He's got the flower, You know, he's got the little flower he's holding. He's just filled with wonder. He's keeping his head to the sky. He's got his little knapsack. He's traveling light, but he's got that dog behind him nipping at his heels to remind him, look where you're going, man. Okay? It's about being able to stay within the center of those two places, all right? Not losing the grounding. So important to be able to root it, to be able to root it in material reality. And that involves a lot of responsibility and taking full accountability, okay? Yeah, otherwise, if you're working on that level, you get this error 404, your messages don't come through clearly, all right? Your messages don't come through clearly. And that's so essential, all right? So as you start to open up, and this is a big piece of stepping onto fairy, your intuition is going to awaken. Your psychic sight will open. And if that's a new experience for you, it's going to be even more important that you're really having good, solid grounding practices. So, let nature support you. Go out, make contact with nature. One of the best ways to get grounded is to go out and put your feet on the earth, step away from the electronics, make space to take things a little slower. Remember to have times of relaxation. Also pay attention to the slows. The slows come in when you get to downloads, right? As you open up to a channel. I know that my readers, my people out there who already work on this level, you know what I'm talking about. When you get the slows, you're about to get a major download. Like you'll start feeling kind of tired. You feel like you're dragging a little bit. You feel like you're a bit in that liminal space. Like the head space gets kind of like, woo, a little foggy. And I mean, I experience this on a regular basis. And I know that when I'm about to go there, I'm about to get a big downloads are going to start coming in. I'm going to have more energy centers opening. I'm going to have more activation. And so I know at those times, like, okay, nurturing food, getting extra rest, creating space and time for myself, go a little bit in hermit mode, take it a little easier. This is so, so, so essential and so important. All right. So I really guide you to pay attention to that food piece since that came in, because it does have a bearing. Right, we got a couple cards here. Yeah, and we have the inverted squirrel, okay, coming in with the pupa vomiting on cats, okay? And this is a very interesting message. I'm going to just put it out there. This is for my chaos magicians out there, because coyotes, you know that you can work with the sexual energy for manifestation purposes. I don't mean that in a way that you're doing workings that are manipulative in nature, where you're like trying to draw a person in. People don't understand. It's not always about that, okay? But if you do any kind of sigil work, if you're doing any kind of work where you're using the sexual energy, the ojas, for activation of your intentions, you do want to be mindful to like not overdo that, okay? Because you can just like dissipate your energy so much. If you take that energy from those lower channels and you raise it up, you actually will find a more sustainable energy coming in that allows a cleaner, clearer activation of your visions without you having to dissipate your life force energy like that, without you having to dissipate your ojas. This is so important, okay? This is kind of, it's sort of wasting. It's sort of like wasting the energy, actually. It can actually diminish the effectiveness of your manifestations to work on that level. The energy is meant to be raised up to the higher channels. It's like, yeah, you can work with this down here, you can work within the first and second chakras if you want. I mean, it's effective. It'll work. It'll do its thing. But if you really want to move into a place of mastery where you can into that dance of ecstasis and have the whole vibration of fairy running through you, raise it up. Raise it up. Take that energy that you normally, spill out in your manifestations, and instead start working with the meditation of taking that sexual energy and raising it up higher through your chakra channels. You can do this. You can do this. Just visualize that energy, that intensity, and raise it up. Raise it up into the upper channels. Bring it up through the chakra centers, all the way up through here, through Ajna, the third eye. Watch how it changes your ability to manifest. This can really squander the potency of your workings, okay? And there's nothing wrong with pleasure, okay? Because I do have this like vast piece coming in, okay? Vast piece coming in here, strong. And there's wonderful things through sexual pleasure, period. And we do have Venusian energy, right? So this is not about ignoring those parts of yourself. But when it comes to really clearing the channel, or when you're working with alchemy or manifestations, there's a cleaner way to work with it that doesn't dissipate your potency, your psychic potency. Because that's what happens over time, right? And then you run into that error kitty, right? Yeah, you go from you go from flying, with the flying man, like feeling like you're on top of the world. It can be a little ego driven, and I'm getting this, it's been coming through for me lately. Because again, we have this like liminal space thing. I'm drawn to this imagery of Icarus, who thought he could, fly up to the sun, and instead his ass got burnt. Where did he end up? On his fucking knees. Why? Because he thought he was God. He got really hungry for that weird ass mystical shit, and it ended up being his undoing. He ended up being just a cat licking its own butthole for eternity. Oh, Mary's out of control. Yeah, if you try to go too far out there, man, if you think you're far too much, you end up in a case of space death. You'll find yourself wandering out in the ether, fucking lost, okay? You are the maze, all right? This is the whole key to fairy. You want to find the way within. The way within to fairy is within yourself. And first, it involves getting through the maze of your ego to get to the heart of what is, all right? And you got to flush the rest with this toilet angel. All right. Don't get too full of yourself. All right. We see that crown coming in again. We see the vision, the tears, the crying. Okay. It's about cutting off what doesn't serve for transmutation with that snake energy coming in, shedding the old skins. Look at this. Look at this. Do you see this? The head, the heart, the liminal space in between, the third road, the path forward that leads to vision activation, that leads to the mysteries, okay? But it does involve cutting out these ego-centered behaviors that aren't really getting you where you want to go. You got to give a finger to that shit and flush it, okay? Flush it, toilet angel. And here's the thing. You see the pizza in the hand with the knife, all right? It's also about cutting out the behaviors that are keeping you from being a clear conduit. Are you really wanting to step onto the path of the alchemist? It's the part that like so many people miss when it comes to stepping onto a path like this. Anybody who's looking to level up, whether you're looking to go into the realm of fairy, or whether you're working some other alchemical path, you got to be a clear conduit. And this requires responsibility. You have to make yourself sound. A priestess makes all things sound, and that includes your habits, your behaviors, your thoughts, all of it. It's a purification process. Don't go by this shit that you hear on TikTok. Don't fall for this random clip art. Don't fall for the meta themes, that are out there about what it means to be a witch. Don't believe the hype. Don't get sucked into this path because it's about image for you and you want to look cool. That's not what it's about. All right. And don't believe the hype about what you hear from other people who are actually on this path. Okay. Because they don't know, because they're falling for a bunch of shit that's been programmed into their consciousness by Hollywood imagery, media crap. They're spitting out stuff about walking this path and they don't even know what it's about. They're not on this path. Okay. So don't believe the hype. Don't get sucked in by that stuff, right? And a lot of this has to do with these religious structures that have been put in place that actually make people feel subservient, okay? Like they're under the thumb of this shit. And it's time for a death of these dogmas, all right? It's time for death to these dogmas, because it's not about having a priest. It's not about having an intermediary between you and spirit, or you and fairy, or you and goddess, you and God, whatever you want to look at, okay? Whatever you want to look at in terms of any kind of spiritual belief, you don't need an intermediary. You have all the keys to the kingdom inside of you. You're not meant to be in this subservient position. You are that. There is no separation between you and spirit. It's all one energy. And people out there spreading division about different people's spiritual beliefs, you're actually on the deceiver's side. It's true. You're fueling division. We're all interconnected. We're all interconnected. We all have different ways of accessing spirit. To spread misinformation, to try to create division between somebody's connection with spirit, is to be a deceiver. Kind of ironic if you really think about it. All right. So don't fall for the king fancy shit. All right. Don't fall for the king's fancy shit. It's archaic thinking. It's too locked in the primitive brain. It's too locked in this place of survival. It's too much based in fear and robotic like logic, with this robot riding a gorilla in reverse. We need to turn this energy around. It's time we turn this energy around. And the only way we can turn this energy around is by coming into our hearts. Okay. So we got to keep our hearts clear and moving through this Libra season that we got going on right here, and everything that's happening astrologically. That's what we're being asked to do. We're being asked to learn how to communicate with each other in new ways. We're being asked to join in connection with others in a new way. We're being asked to come to our relationships in a new way, where we can really, bridge the peace between the head and the heart. And how do we do that? We do that through aligning with our purpose, and we do it through our communication. Okay. So I'm really feeling like the Opal can be a great ally for help facilitating that clear communication, where we're able to take, the higher ideals of our connection to spirit, whatever that looks like for you. We can have it drop down and merge with the stuff of our heart, our feelings, and we can speak it into existence, and we can connect with each other in this way. And it shifts reality when we're able to bridge this gap. It shifts reality, Again, we got wolves in reverse, okay? All these hungry wolves that want to be fed inside of us. And it's like, you've ever heard that legend, the native legend about, what wolf do you feed? You got to feed them all, man. You got to feed them all. And that includes the shadow side. And how do you feed the shadow? By just holding space for it, by letting it say what it has to say, and then transmuting that energy, letting it inform how you can move from the light, from your place of now guided awareness, because you understand where the blocks are. You understand the energy that needs to be transformed. So you can't ignore these parts of yourself. You can't ignore the internal blocks. It's in need of transmutation, So don't do that, Don't just feed one part. Feed both. Feed all parts of you. And the way you feed them is with attention, care, attention, holding space, and letting that inform how you move forward. Letting it inform how you move forward in relationships. Staying out of that place of reactiveness. When you're feeling activated, understanding, there's something inside my shadow wants to inform me about. What's it saying to me? And being grateful that this other person who may be pushing every one of your buttons is actually providing you with a perfect mirror to see what's coming up inside of you for healing. This is the level of accountability and responsibility it takes to walk on the path of the high priestess or the magician. So don't fall for this Hollywood crap, and don't fall for this shit about people saying this is a path about people who are evil. No, this is a path about people who have awakened that there is no sense of separation between them and nature and spirit and all of existence. And they understand that there's great responsibility for holding power. And because there's great responsibility for holding power, they have to keep their path clear. They have to sweep their side of the street. They have to hold space for their shadow. They have to understand that their words have weight. Their actions affect the greater whole. And that's what it's about. It's about making all things sound. And you don't really understand that until you come to that place of the liminal space, the in-between space, because the in-between space is neither past nor future. It's not logic or being over emotional. It's being in the center point with the whirling winds of change spinning all around you, just like Dorothy when her home was getting carried off to Oz. It's about being able to find that place of center, and it's that place of center that guides you home. Yeah, don't get caught with your pants down, the pantless beekeeper, in your attempt to capture the sweetness, all right? You can't hold on to anything in this space. There's beauty and there's gifts in this space, but the beauty comes in knowing that everything changes, everything is temporal, it's always shifting, it's always evolving. And when you can release attachment to holding anything as your own and understanding that ultimately it belongs to all, that's when you really come into your place of power. Yeah. You can't chain an eagle to a calf, all right? Look at that air and land, the liminal space, all right? It's about respecting the freedom, all right? The freedom for all things to be, for all things to live, for all things to express their unique individuality in the world as a reflection of spirit. We all have this connection to spirit. As above, so below. Eagle is great spirit totem. It's direct connection with spirit. And though we may be, here docile on this earth, chained to this earth, we can soar like the eagle. These chains are an illusion. And it's about breaking those chains, those ties that bind, that tell us we need an intermediary between us and spirit. We don't. We're always connected to spirit. And the way to connect to spirit more readily is to release the attachment, because that's when you're truly respecting the freedom of all of life. And you're respecting the true flow of life, which is non-attachment. It's light. I'm entering the liminal space now. It's becoming twilight out here. So now this light is too bright. I'm going to turn it right down. Got to see things as they are. I'm going to do a cut of the deck energy here. It's so interesting. Okay, what's on the other side here? Yeah, I love it. I love it. Ooh, okay. Yeah, it's really asking us to elevate the energy, It's really asking us to elevate the energy. And a lot of this too has to do with, the big thing that's coming forward right now is there's a need to really clean up the diet. I'm seeing this come forward with the pie night, okay? The pie night in reverse. So the appetite in two ways. It's like the sexual appetite, and it's also your appetite for the foods, what you're feeding yourself. What are you feeding yourself with? What are you nourishing yourself with? think about how that is in connection with your channel. And if you're wanting to elevate this energy, if you're wanting to become a clear channel, it's time to start being more mindful of what you're nurturing yourself with, what you're nourishing yourself with. What are your habits with food? Are you gluttonous? Do you take more than you need? Are you eating in a way that really sustains your body, that makes you feel your best? Are you valuing this vessel that spirit is going to run through? Would you serve a feast for spirit with the foods that you're typically eating? Start to think about this. Your body is an altar, okay? Because you can sit here and think, oh, everything's fine. It doesn't matter. I don't have to manage my energy. It doesn't matter what words I use. It doesn't matter who I hang out with. It doesn't matter, what kind of energy is in my space. It doesn't matter if my altar is a mess. It doesn't matter if I'm eating crap every night, if I'm eating a bunch of processed bullshit, feasting on little heavies until I'm in a food coma. It doesn't matter. I can still work with this magic. I can still do my alchemical work. And you're kidding yourself. Everything is not fine. It'll blow up in your face. That's when you find your workings are ineffective. That's when you find you do workings and it makes a colossal mess of things, okay? A lot of this has to do with online, What's going on online? How are you conducting yourself online? We have to understand that online, the World Wide Web is a web of manifestation for real. Like magic is happening on the web. The web is a portal, right? So it's very important how you're using your words in this particular arena, how you're operating, how you choose to spend your time online. What are you contributing to that web? Because we have to remember the web is a web of creation. That's what spider medicine is. It's the web of creation. So be mindful of this. And remember to slow down a bit, to take some time to connect with the earth, turtle medicine. It's all like Mother Earth medicine. It's time to get back to our roots. It's time to slow down. It's time to, be mindful of this as a source of empowerment or destruction. It really depends. And the more grounded you can be when you're working with the ether energy of the World Wide Web and what you bring forward there, the more powerful the transformation. Now we got the super horny porno owl. Okay. So for those of you that are like wasting all your time online watching porno and things like this, but understand that's kind of like a lower vibrational energy. And look at this book of shadows here. And we got the owl. The owl is a liminal creature, right? It can see in the night. It can see clearly in the night, even though it's dark, right? And it's an animal of great wisdom, all right? So it's like, be mindful. Look at that. I'm getting Book of Shadows energy. What would you want? What you're taking in online, what you're feeding yourself online, the knowledge you're taking in online. Would you want this? Would you want this in your Book of Shadows? Be mindful. Be mindful because there's power in what we're taking in right now. And it can blow up in your face with you're so fucking fucked. All right? Seriously, if you had to write down in your Book of Shadows all your daily behaviors, the way you move online, the way you're feeding yourself, would you like what you're creating? Something to be mindful of. Look at this. World Wide Web, right there. The Frodis. Look at this. We have a responsibility for what we're creating with this. It's very powerful. It's coming through very strongly right now. We can transform this energy, but it really happens one person at a time, taking their personal accountability. So let that opal essence come in. Work with opal. Allow opal to help us transform this energy, clear this channel, elevate it, amplify the right things, right? Amplify the right things. It's an amplifier, remember? It's trying to make us mindful of how we use our thoughts, how we're using our time, what we're focusing on, because it amplifies and reverberates all throughout the web of creation. It's great responsibility. Got a giant sperm fighting a dove. See the dove, look, that's that higher consciousness. Look, the crown wanting to descend, but If we're operating in this lower vibrational energy, this doesn't stand a chance of coming in. It can't come in. It'll be eaten alive, you know? And we got this right here, the parasitic fruit. Some things may be tempting, all right? Especially when you're working to like elevate your energy. Some things will tempt you. Old habits, old behaviors, old ways of spending your time. You know, people that maybe, you know, have typically dragged your energy down, but you feel some false sense of connection. Maybe there's cords that need to be cut. You know, maybe you need to pull some shit out of the root, you know? And this is like this temptation energy. Be careful of what you're tempted by, the way that it binds you, the way that it cords you to actually these lower vibrational energies that block your creative channel, that block your creative channel. And there's a lot of energies right now out there that can get corded into us if we're not really being mindful of how we're using our energy and also what we let in. So work with that opal, right? Work with that opal energy. Work with opal spirit. Magnify what you're wanting to bring in. Magnify the change that you want to see in the world. Magnify within what you want to see without. Be very mindful of what you're creating right now. It has power. And cut off what doesn't serve. No? Release those ties that bond. A lot of this has to do with how you're using your sexuality. You know, people you're connecting with, how you're connecting with people sexually. There's something here that wants to be transmuted. You know, something here that wants to be transmuted. All right. It's time to, like, you know, be mindful of this with the filthy mattress to the baseball go. You know, it's sort of like, knock that shit out of the park. Knock that shit out of the park so it doesn't block the way to the field of dreams. And, you know, be more mindful of what you're elevating. Are you really elevating this, or are you a martyr to this? You know, does it have power over you with the dildo wizard? It's time that we come to a higher place of connection. And it's not that you can't have fun sexually. You absolutely can. But it's like, if you're going to come together sexually, you know, just think about it, you know? Do you really want it to be cheap? Do you really want it to be meaningless? You can have sacred sexuality. There were even, you know, temples in the past where you could see those who would service you sexually, but the energy was elevated. So there's this piece really coming in about mindfulness around how we are using our sexuality and how we are receiving others sexually as well. Okay. It's important for us to come to this place of instinct. And what is instinct? Instinct is the point of transformation. Instinct is the liminal space between the head and the heart. It's when the higher and lower natures merge and they find the middle way. They find the third road. And that's what you're being asked to do as you move through this third moon in preparation for initiation. I hope to see you on the other side.